The very first time Oasis played together, they promised they were going to be the best and that they'd never settle for anything less. And then they set about proving it. In Britain, with their debut album, Definitely Maybe, they rewrote the record books, helped by the fact that it entered the charts at number 1, stayed in the top 20 for 18 months, went way past triple platinum and became the fastest selling debut in British history. The second album, released in 1995 and called What's the Story Morning Glory, had an even bigger impact. Today, it remains the third best-selling album of all time in the UK. After a series of lineup changes and a period of transition, Oasis enjoyed a resurgence of popularity, and today they're more successful than they have been in over a decade.
Okay, rotate.
Check, 1, 2.
You know, I don't look like a rock star, I don't sing like a rock star.
That's where a lot of these songs came from.
It's not encouraged to grow up.
Well, you know something, David.
I've never heard anything like this.
And I'm going to give you a countdown on 5, 4.
Every creative expression is a snapshot of a moment.
Noel, give any decade of your life when you say you're mature, no question about it. Let's take a look, though, forget about you. Let's take a look at the band. Do you think Oasis have matured over the years to get to album number 7?
Well, yeah. I don't know, musically, I guess we're still quite juvenile. But as people, yeah, you couldn't get to being 41 and not consider yourself to be mature, I guess. I think we have. We're not as unprofessional as we was 10, 12 years ago, that's for sure.
OK, but the Dig Out Your Soul album, I mean, if you think about some of the songs that are on it, you've said yourself before that it's less songy, which implies that it's less hit records on it, which I would assume what you're saying is that's a good thing.
Well, we had better songs than what I thought were better songs in the sense of songs like The Importance of Being Idle or Lila off the last time, like pop songs. But we're at the stage now where we kind of not needed a bit of direction, but we're willing to let our producer decide what it is we should be doing. And he kind of focused on the songs that were more bluesy and had less of chord structures. And I guess a producer would do that because then it shows his skills as a producer to kind of sprinkle the magic dust on it. But it was something we were quite prepared to let happen, and it's all the better for it, I think.
Do you think in some ways that you've done your album about being a young person, done your album about being a rock star, done your album about cities, etc., and now maybe you've gone back a little bit to the kind of psychedelicized side of your youth?
Yeah. You got to a point, or I've got to a, because we don't write as a team or anything. I kind of sit down and think, well, what can I write about? You know, I've got nothing. I've really not got anything. I have to say, I say in interviews. You know, I'm not one of those pop stars that encrypt coded messages into my songs, you know, so if anybody asked me about anything about life, I just say it, you know what I mean? I wouldn't try and say it in music. But when I sit down and I think, well, what am I going to write about? And like I say, I've written about most things. And to come from a position of truth is very difficult because not a great deal happens in my life, do you know what I mean? I don't want to be writing about my kids, you know, who wants to listen to that? But I kind of went back to when some of the songs went back to when I was young and being on the golf course taking magic mushrooms.
What about like the way then that you would write? Was the music the most important thing? For instance, Morrissey would get his lyrics together and put some music around it, and the lyrics are very important to Morrissey. Radiohead would kind of bang themselves over the head for each album and try and outdo or whatever it is, outshine themselves from the past. The most important thing for you is that you have the music that really is good Oasis music, and then you stick words to it.
It's the tune.
It's the tune.
It's the tune.
Right.
And how that tune makes you feel. If you can write a good story or some good lyrics to go along with that, brilliant.
bonus almost.
But I wouldn't. I wouldn't sit down for months and bang out. But you know, there's a great worth in what Morrissey does, but he's a great lyricist because he can't play the guitar. If he could play the guitar, he wouldn't be as good a lyricist, does he? I mean, I'm not the greatest lyricist in the world, you know what I mean? And I'm not the greatest guitarist in the world. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, you know. But I don't. The words to me just facilitate the tune, you know. And the tune, you're supposed to get some kind of feeling from it, and whatever that is great, you know. But I'm not a wordsmith.
Okay, lyricist, guitarist. What about now, vocalist? Think you're better than you used to be.
I'm brilliant. No, I really enjoy it. Yeah, I like singing. But I think, you know, I think Liam's got a better voice than I have. But for I think my delivery of some of my songs is better than his. I don't think he could deliver Falling Down like I could, you know what I mean? In the same way as if, you know, I were to try and sing Songbird, or I'm Out of Time, for instance. Only he knows what he's going at for those kind of things. So, but I do like singing. It's a great gift to have, I think.
But do you think that with this album, in some ways, when I said less songy earlier on, that in a weird way, even though the other guys are writing and you don't write together, that you bring it all together and there is a groove running right through the album, and that groove isn't necessarily you taking their songs and making it all sound cohesive. Their songs were all groovy as well.
Well, no, I know, but that's why the producer is so important on this record, and we've decided actually after all these years to let the producer earn the money that we're paying him, because usually we would have a guy come in who they're supposed to produce records. We would never let them do that. We would just say, these are the songs, these are how we're going to do it, and that's it. So I guess Dave Sardi had a very definite idea of what album he wanted us to make, and we just concentrated on being in the band and kind of being in Abbey Road and being like, wow, you know. So I guess Dave would be able to answer that better than anybody.
Okay, but you could answer the Abbey Road bit. I mean, Abbey Road.
Well,
why did you pick Abbey Road?
Well, to be quite honest, due to circumstance, because I just had a baby boy and needed to be in the country, so and you wouldn't really. Once you've been in, we've been in Abbey Road before. Once you've been in there once, you've been in there once, and it's a mega expensive place to go and record a record.
Is that because of the legacy it holds? Is it good?
Just because England is a very expensive place to make music.
But you Los Angeles this album as well a bit, didn't you?
Yeah, well, you know, you can get say Abbey Road is £2,000 a day. Capitol Studios, the equivalent in Los Angeles is $2,000 a day, so it's half the price. But because I needed to be in the country, we had to go there, and it's just around the corner from my house. And Gem and Liam and Andy are a bit like, whoa, Abbey Road, you can feel the ghosts and all that. So I'm not really like that, you know. I mean, it's a great room. It has appalling equipment. We had to bring £500,000 of our own recording equipment in there. But it's nice. The canteen's nice. And there's a bar in there. What can you say?
All right, okay. All right, but like your former manager has said that this album is the real follow-up to your second album. It's the real follow-up to What's the Story, Morning Glory. The implication might be that the bunch of albums in between, you were either treading water or they're just not good enough. I don't know what it is necessarily.
Well, good enough for him.
Okay, but do you see where he's coming from? Do you think he might have a point?
We're talking about Alan.
Yeah.
And his review on the Guardian website.
Alan McGee.
Yeah, it's suitably over the top. I would have thought he's putting up there with Revolver and Beggar's Banquet. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? But I think, as albums go, this is the best one since Don't Believe the Truth, and Don't Believe the Truth was the best one, for me personally, since Morning Glory. So there's moments on them all. I mean, I don't think anybody could sit and say that every single record that they've made has been fantastic, every single part of it. You know, at the time I've walked out of studios and thought, well, that's great. You can only go in and try and do the best that you can do, you know. But as the years go by, some albums don't make it, you know what I mean? Whereas definitely maybe for we didn't know what we were doing. And I guess that's why that album still sounds great after all these years, because it's like, it's a bunch of kids in a recording studio just trying to make a living. You know?
Okay, but definitely maybe you say, like, I mean, like, would you consider that to be one of the greatest debut albums of all time?
Not just me saying that. Not just me saying that.
Right, okay. Okay, let's jump.
Let's think of another one. You can't call Nevermind the Bollocks a debut album. That's just a piece of art.
It's the only album.
It's the only album.
It's not even, it's just a thing more than an album.
So
I'd have one.
Go on then.
Okay, the first Roxy Music album to me. You see, I knew you'd laugh at that. Now, I'm not talking about later Roxy music.
I'm not showing his age.
I don't care about my age. Why shouldn't I show it? Hold on a second. I'm not talking about the wine bar Roxy of later on where they sold billions. I'm talking about the first album.
Right, I would have to, you know, I wasn't before my time, I have to say. But I'll take your word for it, Dave. If you think that Roxy Music's first album, whatever it was called, I don't know.
It was called Roxy Music.
Roxy Music. Wow, what a title. If you think it's better than Definitely Maybe, then you'd be in a minority.
All right, well then, hold on a second then. Let's go to album number 3 of Oasis. Let's skip those first two.
Be Here Now.
Be Here Now.
It's a 9 million selling flop.
Oh. Let's face it, it wasn't very good, was it?
Well,
there was probably good songs buried underneath there, and if you did the kind of the unplugged album, you'd find something there.
It suffered from the fact that it wasn't Morning Glory.
It suffered from the fact that you had a big head.
Yeah, well, true.
And you thought you were the biggest thing in the world, you could do what you liked.
Well, we were.
Yeah, but you brought that biggest thing in the world to make it now.
Yeah, but I'd written the songs before I'd signed the record deal.
Oh, okay.
So I refute that we were just in the studio kind of treading water. We were having a great time in the studio, I will give you that. And if there's one thing I regret, it's not somebody saying maybe these songs are a bit too long.
A producer, yeah.
But that's still some people's favourite album. Now, you won't meet many of them, right? But there is people out there.
Of course. But I'm just saying, buried underneath all that ridiculous long length and the production, could you find tracks?
Don't go away.
Don't go away.
Played
exactly.
that acoustically.
Could you Pro Tool these things and bring out Be Here Now 10 years later?
Yeah, you could, but then you're getting into the Paul McCartney school of Let It Be Naked. You know what I mean? It's like, look, there was a statement for that time. It was meant to be listened to on that day, drunk, and that's it.
OK, but that was Oasis making that statement. Paul McCartney didn't make the statement. Let It Be was a bunch of things lying around, and your man comes in and decides to put all the tapes together and put strings on a couple of songs. And that wasn't Paul McCartney that wanted to do that. So when he brought out Naked, it was just scratching an itch 25 years later saying, get rid of, the famous producer Phil Spector.
If you're saying to me then, do I have the time to sit on Pro Tools and edit down B and I've got better things to do.
things that you do also, like, is, Noel, you wouldn't do an Elton John, he wouldn't do a Robbie Williams. You don't hide away in a big, huge castle in LA. You don't have blacked out windows on a limousine and that. You stand in the supermarket in the queue and you buy your butter or you buy your milk and that. Is that really important to you? Do you find the two people I just mentioned there not sad, but for what they do and the way they think they should approach life, kind of sad?
Well, I don't know. I mean, whatever they get up to in their private life is nothing to do with me. And if I don't find being in Waitrose important, it's just normal to me. And you know, I've got kids. The two people that you mentioned haven't. Now, kids are a great leveler. You either raise normal people to a certain extent, or you raise idiots. If you were never to go to the shops and never to converse with the woman at the checkout, or never to be seen to be buying a pint of milk, or you haven't got the right change in you, and all that nonsense, your kids will grow up to be idiots, you know. So when I take my kids around the supermarket, it's kind of it's letting them know that although Dad is on the TV every now and again, you know, they get a bit. My little daughter, when the last time I was in the Waitrose with her, I was getting hassled by some guy who was saying, "Can I take a picture?" And I was saying, "Well, I'm with the kids," and he said, "Oh, come on, can I take a picture?" And I was going, "Look." It was like Sunday morning. We were trying to buy breakfast, and he said, "Oh, come on, mate, you're a legend." And my little daughter, who's 8, looked at him and she said, "I think technically you have to be dead to be a legend." And I was like looking at her going, "What a child. I'll give you that, fatty." You know. And that was it. We walked off, and I was like, it's great that she should be in a situation like that. She's gone, "He's an idiot. You'd be dead to be a legend." I was like, brilliant. You should be my PR.
I'm going leaving the city. I'm going driving out of town, and you're coming with me. The right time is always now, so go let it out, and go let it in, and go let it out, so go let it out, so go let it in, and go let it out. Is it any wonder why princes and kings are clowns that caper in their sawdust rings? Ordinary people that are like you and me, we're the builders of that destiny. We're the builders of that destiny.
By the way, do you like being a dad? I mean, is it good?
Yeah, it's great.
Like your dad used to lay concrete floors, loved country and western music. You didn't really see him that much. By the way, the country and western music side of that, did you pick up on that much? Did you ever?
Yeah, well,
did you like it?
he brought home the first guitar that was in our house, you know. So there you go. If it wasn't for that, I dare say we wouldn't be sat here now. But you know, I never planned to have children. They happened. It's not like I feel I'm super dad or anything like that. And it's not like I would. It's all about the kids, you know. It's not all about the kids. It's not all about me, and it's not all about the missus either. It's all about the family. Do you know what I mean? But I like being a dad. It's great fun, you know, to be able to act like a prison warden to 2 little kids. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, sit down, stand up, sit down again, come here, go away. I like all that. It's brilliant.
What about the responsibility side of it? I mean, there's another side of it altogether.
That's what mothers are for. Dads are for fun, football, chalk ice and chips, right? The mothers have the responsibility.
Right.
You know, it's not. I'm not educating nobody. No, I'm here for shits and giggles, right? If you want anything important doing, go and see your mother.
All right, well, look, I'll tell you what, I'm going to move back over then to Oasis for a second or two. Get away from the family stuff, which is the Liam thing. How's Liam doing these days? Is he all right?
He's great. He's started really looking after himself and eating properly and jogging, apparently. I see pictures of him in the paper and all that. I've yet to see it in person, but it's about time he started looking.
When you get to the songwriting, and like he had Songbird, and you made the album Stop the Clocks for the best of, because you didn't want the record company to necessarily be in charge of that, because you mightn't trust them to do a proper best of, and you put it together. You put an illustration for every song.
Yeah.
You put a red brick wall or something for Songbird.
Yeah. Well, should I tell you why that is?
He didn't. Well, because red is the colour of love. Is that it?
That's right.
That's a terrible answer for Liam.
That's right. Well, Liam being Liam, thought it was in his own head thought it was a red toilet wall.
Was it?
No. I don't know what it's from. But, you know, there you go. Liam hasn't got a clue what he wants or what he feels or what he knows or what he thinks he knows. He exists in this own tiny little bubble, you know. God bless him.
I don't know what it is that makes me feel alive. I don't know how to wake the things that sleep inside. I only want to see the light that shines behind your eyes. I hope that I can say the things I wish I'd said, to sing my soul to sleep and take me back to bed. Who wants to be alone when we can feel alive instead? Each other, we believe in one another, and I know we're gonna uncover what's sleeping in our souls.
Is one of the reasons why Liam mightn't like you is because you're indifferent to him? He doesn't like somebody being indifferent to him. He wants to have a big opinion.
No, I think I annoy him greatly. And I understand that, because I'm brilliant and I'm better than he is, you know what I mean? And that's fine, you know. And he annoys me because I annoy him, you know. But it's not that we don't like each other. I wouldn't go out for a drink with him or anything like that. I wouldn't go to his house for Sunday lunch or anything like that. It always ends up in arguments about, you know, the track listing of Definitely Maybe or something, you know. But he's just another member of the band to me. Do you know what I mean? And I don't hang out with any of the other guys either. You know, I've got no particular favourites in the band.
Sure.
You know, I was born a loner. You know, and yeah, I'm indifferent to him. He's obsessed with me.
Whether you would admit it or not, you are the leader of Oasis. Did that just happen?
I admit that.
Yeah, okay, you admit that. Great, okay. Did that happen by accident or design? Did it have to happen? Because it was hardly going to be Liam.
No, I think that every band, you cannot run a band as a democracy. You can to a certain extent, but somebody has to carry the can and make decisions and say, I think we should do this or we're going to do that. Other than that, you'd just be forever kind of, you know, everybody should have this. I mean, everybody does get their say and all that. But in the die was cast in the early days when Bonehead, Griggs, Tony McCarran, Liam didn't have a clue about anything, and I'd been in the music business, for want of a better term, for 5 years previously, so I kind of knew the moves that we should be making. And I just kind of, you know, and I was writing all the songs, so everybody deferred to me. Managers, record company all deferred to me, and it's just been that way ever since. But I don't mind that.
You know, I was doing a programme in London in the early 90s and I met you before Oasis, and you were working for a band called Inspiral Carpets when we had them on the television programme, and that. You seemed to really enjoy working there. I got the impression you loved being a roadie. Yeah,
I loved it. I thought, you know, when I was growing up and I loved music, and I always thought I would somehow end up doing music. But when I got the job as a roadie, I thought that was it. And I would be quite prepared now to still be a roadie now. It was great money, you travel the world, you don't have to have your picture taken, nobody knows who you are. What a life. You know, but I really, that was the greatest gig in the world. It's like setting up a drum kit, you know, in South America. Didn't happen to people like me, you know. That's before all this. It's just, they were great days. In fact, I look back on those days, it's probably the happiest, you know, because you had no baggage, you didn't have to be anywhere, you didn't have to be anybody, nobody knew who you were. Yeah. But it was, yeah, they were great days, you know.
Take the time to make some sense of what you want to say, and cast your words away upon the waves, and sail them home with acquiesce on a ship of hope today. And as they land upon the shore, tell them not to fear no more. Say it loud and sing it proud today. And then dance if you wanna dance. Please, brother, take a chance. You know they're gonna go which way they wanna go. We know is that we don't know how it's gonna be. Please, brother, let it be. Life, on the other hand, won't make us understand. We're all part of a master plan.
Speaking of drums, did you play drums in this current album?
I played on 3 tracks, yeah.
On 3 tracks.
Yeah.
And you also went solo, not Oasis, on a tour.
Yeah, last November.
What are you telling us here? Oh.
The reason I enjoy doing that, and the reason that went on that tour was because we just finished the last tour and Stop the Clocks had just come out and we weren't going to promote it.
Right.
And they wanted to send me on a world promo tour. And I said, but I can't be doing a world tour of just doing interviews, because the only time I like doing interviews is when I've got a gig that night, and they're the good bits. And someone said, well, why don't you do gigs then? I was like, oh. Yeah, and it gives a chance to play songs that we wouldn't normally play. And the gigs were kind of really, really small, and they were for competition winners. It wasn't really a paying thing. But I really, really enjoyed that. It's something I look forward to doing again.
Do you know, there's a momentum that happens that if you can just kind of get in on it, then, you know, things can just go along and be really big. For instance, when the Beatles came to America a few months after President Kennedy was assassinated, it just was right time, right place. It was just so perfect, this Beatles invasion. Almost nothing to do with them. You had 2 big albums in the States, and we're going, or in Britain, the 2 biggest albums. And it was like, okay, now here we go. The States is going to be huge. This is going to be fantastic. And it was the big thing. You were on the news, getting to the airport. And in the airport, Liam goes out to have it and goes off. Do you blame Liam, no matter how big you might be in the States now with this album, do you blame Liam for blowing the major chance?
I don't blame him, but when he says nonsense in interviews, like saying, oh, I can't understand why we're not as big as America, it's like, well,
look back to the airport incident there, Liam.
If you're not going to turn up for gigs, then I put it like this: if we had Bono or Chris Martin, we'd be huge out there, because musically we're equal to those 2 bands. And I'm not putting Liam down because he's got his own merits and all that, but we're not the kind of band that engage with an audience. If we had members in the band who engaged with an audience, we'd be massive. Saying that, when we first did go over there, they did subtitle us on American TV because we're kind of Mancunians and we talk quite fast. And never was a band and a nation divided by the same language. They didn't know what we were going on about. But blame is not the right word, but one of the reasons that we didn't quite put the ball in the net, and it's not just Liam, we were a bit unprofessional when we went there. They thought we were on a record label which was used to Mariah Carey and Celine Dion. They'd never had a rock band from England, and they expected us to go there and play the game. Yeah. And that was the last thing on our minds. You know, we was like, look, we'll come and do whatever we have to do, but I don't really believe I've got to go and see the guy who owns the record shop with fat kids. What's all that about? You know what I mean? It's either, if you want to buy the record, you go and buy it. I'm not going to scratch anybody's back, because I'm not expecting anybody to scratch mine. The deal is we turn up, we play, you clap, you go and buy the record. If you don't, we'll go on. You know. Right. But to them, it was to Epic at the time. It was so alien to them that they couldn't believe that we were not willing to kind of bend over backwards for them. But you can't. You got to stay true to yourself, I think.
She believes in everything.
Staying true to themselves didn't make things easy. By 1999, the band were onto their second drummer, Andy White having replaced Tony McCarroll. In August of '99, rhythm guitarist Paul Bonehead Arthurs resigned, followed a couple of weeks later by bass player Paul McGuigan. To make life even more interesting, all this happened while the band were recording their 4th album, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, maybe not surprisingly, the band's lowest selling record. Heathen Chemistry, the 5th album with new recruits Colin Gem Archer and Andy Bell on board, was released in 2002 and fared better than its predecessor. But it was the release of Don't Believe the Truth in 2005 that signalled for many that the band still had it, whatever it is. Oh, and it also marked the debut of the band's 3rd drummer, with Zach Starkey, the son of Ringo Starr, taking over after Andy White left. But 6 albums in, Britain's most volatile band were still right up there on the popularity front. Q magazine, prestigious music magazine from Britain, when it did its 500 or 50 greatest British albums of all time, you had a bunch of them in there, and you were also at number 1 and 2. Is that correct? Is that where you should be?
I was just going to jump in there and say there was number 1 and 2. Yeah, number 1 and 2 and 17 and 11. Yeah. I think.
So 4 in the top 20.
Yeah, 4 in the top 20.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Better than the Beatles, I think you'll find.
That's right, indeed, yeah.
Well, when those things always come out, you'll always find that the biggest album of the last 2 years is always sits on top of there, so you can never quite judge what they mean. I've got to say, I was really made up that the 2 albums were way over 10 years old.
They've stood the test of time.
Yeah. It's not kind of it's not part of any fad or anything. So,
Okay, well, let's put it this way. In standing the test of time, is it a bit of a problem? Is it that, like, once you've had those 2 albums, is it very difficult to start judging the next 5 after the madness of those 2 and what they meant? I mean, they meant everything. Even the fourth. What was the 4th single for the first album? Cigarettes and Alcohol or something. You said, don't release the 4th single, and that was the biggest hit from it, and that proved you were wrong. Like, it was just such a big album. Every single bit of it.
Well, if I was to sit and listen to you, Mr. Dave Fanning, I'd never write another song. But me being the way I am, it's like I love the history of the band, and I love those, but I particularly love the first album. But I never sit down to write and think what's gone before. I just do it for me and for now. You know, if I never write another song, I'll go to bed thinking, well, I'm easily in the top 10 of all time. Easy. Write another song if I thought about Champagne Supernova or Rock and Roll Star, because who's bettered those songs in this? And the one thing that gets me is when you know, a review of an album comes out, they'll always say, yeah, but you know, definitely maybe a Morning Glory, and they've never really kind of set the sound. It's like, right, well, who has? You know, so you're putting me in the same category as every other band in England, because nobody's bettered those 2 albums, right? Not me, not Tom York, not Robbie Williams, not U2, nobody. No one, so we're all in the same boat. But they never say that when, you know, Radiohead's album comes out. Well, it's not up to scratch, it's not up to the same standards as Definitely Maybe. You know, no, man. Let's all move on. Yeah.
Okay, in moving on, by the way, songwriter-wise, Liam, is he getting better?
Yeah. You've not even heard, he's not even heard the half of it yet.
Really?
He's got, see, the thing about Liam is he writes all these songs and he demos them in secret and he plays them to everybody else except me. And then I have to kind of get them off Gem, and then when we start doing stuff, I'll say, what about Soldier On? And he'll go, have you heard that? And I'll say, oh, some of the guys from the Chorale will tell me, how have they heard it? And I say, I don't know, you know, and it's all kind of cloak and dagger, so you have to pull it out of him. Even though he's quite insecure about it all. He's quite shy of playing stuff to you in case you go, that's pony, man.
Okay, quite insecure of it all, maybe shy. Is he just that he's maybe possibly jealous of you, or just in awe without ever admitting it?
Probably. You have to ask him. Jealous? Absolutely. In awe? Probably.
Do you exchange Christmas presents?
No. He bought me a very questionable jumper once.
Right.
I don't think I've spoke to him since then over a Christmas present.
You
Some might say it was a little bit gay.
Really? Okay. Is he a bit stupid?
No, but no.
No? He thinks Spinal Tap is a real band, and when he found out that he wasn't...
No, that's all that stuff is kind of all tongue-in-cheek, and it's great to write up in the papers and it looks fun. No, he's not. He's super bright. I mean, not in an academic sense, you know.
Yeah.
He's street smart. Very street smart.
Yeah.
You don't get where you are today without having something between your ears. He wouldn't know, you know, you couldn't talk about academic stuff to him. You know, I'm kind of a bit more academically bright, and even I'm not even anywhere approaching you, do you know what I mean? Because you're obviously very intelligent.
Absolutely.
Because you work in television.
Spot on.
Right, but, you know, Liam is street smart, you know?
Liam hates Wonderwall.
Oh, he doesn't. See, this is another thing.
That's why I put all these...
See, this is the one thing that annoys me about him. He's such a two-faced right? He says one thing to journalists, I hate Wonderwall, I hate playing this, I hate doing this, and it's about time we've done this. In the middle of rehearsals, we were doing Wonderwall, and I was like, you know what, I'm sick of this song. He's going, we can't not play it, but we can't not play it. And I was like, come on, man, we've got better songs than this. I was up for dropping it from the sets, I couldn't be bothered. He was insistent that we play that song. Then Q Magazine comes out, and it's the journalist saying to me, so Liam's quite furious that you're making him play these songs. And I was like, he begs to play it. You know, what are you talking about? There's nothing better than him going up to the mic and going, Wonderwall, and everyone going, ah. Because in his own head, somehow he thinks he wrote it.
Do you have those songs that are kind of, as you once called them, those songs? Don't Look Back in Anger, Wonderwall. What do you mean? Like, they're not albatrosses because you love them and they're brilliant. Are they too big?
No, they're
Are they almost like...
Well, you know, like Let It Be is one of those songs.
Yeah.
You know, Hey Jude is one of those songs. I'm not putting myself there with the Beatles. You know, Satisfaction. You know, all those. They're those songs. They take on a life of their own.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. In the end, nobody knows what the song is about. You know, but people just wait to get to the na 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 bit of Hey Jude. Nobody knows who Jude is or what it means, or if there's a movement on the shoulder. It doesn't become that. They become part of the fabric of society. You know, and they're not albatrosses. I've got to say, some people in bands would feel that they are. Well, we couldn't possibly play, you know, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but U2 are the only band that I ever went to see that, you know, that aren't afraid of playing Where the Streets Have No Name or Pride in the Name of Love. They're great songs. They mean so much to people. You couldn't go out there and say, well, we're not going to play that because we're sick of it. But even if I was sick of Wonderwall, you know what I mean? It only takes somebody to give me one reason to play it. One reason is like, look at all those people there that when you say the word, oh, a million camera phones come
I've seen you play Wonderwall solo on a stage, even though it was a waste of your solo, and you didn't sing one word. The whole audience just sang the whole thing. You just played the...
How arrogant would you have to be to... Because are those people that bought those albums that those songs are from make you what you are, and then you refuse to mirror that to them. You refuse to give them the chance to sing it back to you. I think that's outrageous. Outrageous. I wouldn't ever get into any of that.
By the way, I didn't say congratulations on the album being the biggest success in America in over 10 years, but above all, on the gigs in this part of the world in terms of the biggest possible venues and quicker ticket sales. And then you have to add an ad.
Crazy.
Isn't that like, I mean, you know, it must make you feel really good.
Well, you know, I mean, when we get, the night before these things go on sale, we were on tour and our promoters were there and they were saying, it's a big day tomorrow. And we were like, well, and they're saying, are you nervous? And I was going, about what? They're going, about the gigs. And I was going, look, hang on a minute. I just assume you lot know what you're doing. You know, don't ask me don't start making me nervous now. We are going to sell these things out. And they're going, but you know, you never know with the credit crunch and all that. And I was like, I just assume that everybody knows what they're doing. So when they put on these gigs, I just assume they're going to sell out, but not in a kind of arrogant way. But, you know, I certainly don't assume that they're going to sell out before you got out of the shower. You know, and you phone up and they say, it's all done. Yeah. We're now doing a third night at Wembley and 3 in Parks. And it's like, I mean, it just goes to... I can only think that the people that buy tickets are A, either that young that they've never seen us before, or B, that they've seen us before and it's a great night out. I can only assume that, you know. And I count myself very, very lucky to be in the band and the guy that writes the songs to do all this. You know what I mean? And you know, when people, I never understood bands that say, "Oh, I hate big gigs. They're so impersonal." I hate little gigs. The spectacle of those big gigs, the gathering of all those people. I know Oasis is best experienced with 50,000 other Oasis fans. That's it. That's what it's all about. It's not really about the records. The records are great, but Oasis is not a personal thing. It's a group thing. Do you know what I mean?
I sold my soul for the second time, 'cause the land it don't pay me. I begged my landlord for some more time. He said, son, the bills are waiting. My best friend called me the other night. He said, man, are you crazy? My girlfriend told me to get alive. She said, boy, you lazy. But I don't mind, as long as there's a bed beneath the stars that shine. I'll be fine if you give me a minute. A man's got a limit. I can't get a laugh if my heart's not in it.
Just one of the bands you mentioned there, U2, who does it on that size as well. You saw them at the G-Mex in Manchester many years ago. What was so special about it? That was the Zoo TV, was it?
The Zoo TV tour.
Why was it, did you say? Like, was that one of the things
I
that
thought-
I got to be in a band?
I thought that was it. I thought that... I mean, I loved that album. I mean, I was a fan anyway, you know. But that particular album, when Acton Baby came out, I thought, wow, you know, that was it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And then I got to see them at G-Mex and I thought, this is what it's all about, you know. They already had about 6 really fantastic songs already when, you know, New Year's Day, Pride in the Name of Love, Where the Streets Have Run There, all that. And then there was this other set of great songs and it was just the size of it all. And I was thinking, bollocks to all this indie shit. You know, bollocks to being the Stone Roses and Don't Photograph Me, Don't Come and See Me, Too Cool for School. This is where it's at, you know. And I was kind of... I remember the lead singer from the Inspiral Carpets, who I was with, turned to me and just said, well, it's just pub rock. It's just, it could be any band anywhere in the world. And I was like, no, but it's never going to be your band anywhere in the world. That's the difference, do you know what I mean? And if you don't aspire to that, then you'll just stay, you know, in the practice room and, you know, and I was, when I joined, when Oasis started, and I would say to them, we're going to be that big, and they were laughing their heads off when I was writing all around the world and saying, well, they were going, well, why don't we do that song then? And I was like, no, that's for the 3rd album. This is before we had a manager.
Right.
I remember them going, 3rd album? You idiot, we've not even got a record deal. Right. And I was going, all in good time, man, it's all in good time. You know, so I had, I mean, I love U2, and I've got to say, all the people that I know that are in bands, the people that I'm in a band with, and everybody else, they don't like them at all, and they're like, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I do, I'm afraid, you know.
Somebody else you get is Neil Young.
Yeah.
And you went to his sort of stripped-down acoustic gig, the Greendale one.
Yeah, it's great.
No, I hated it, but there you go. I hated it because I love Neil Young, and it was an hour and 45 minutes of this appalling album. And by the time
but the album's not
You-
great,
you liked it live.
but the show was brilliant.
So I didn't like it, because in the end he does 15 minutes of the great stuff, and it was just too late.
Right.
I just, so, like...
You're a very, 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 very bitter and difficult man.
Okay.
Do you have children?
I do. The point I'm making
children,
here
I've got to
is-
say, don't ever pick up the guitar if you're a
so
lad.
like Neil Young would
It's
be
like the
somebody
Irish
that you
Paul
would be a
McCartney.
great fan of. Okay, Neil Young would be somebody you're a great
Yeah,
fan of,
absolutely.
right? Okay, but you didn't like the album, did you?
I didn't like the no, because I'd heard the show first,
Right.
and I thought it was going to be an acoustic album. And those songs are great. I don't care what anybody says. I'm having it. Then when I heard the album, it's like his other albums. You know, it's like Neil Young should spend more than a week recording an album. He usually gets in there, bashing, it's done before the tape stopped rolling. But I like the concept of it all, the story and all that, and the story around it. But I think that the acoustic live version was better than the record. But I can't begin to tell you how much in high esteem I hold him. He's it for me.
If he was in the next room and Bob Dylan was there too, would you be in with your autograph book?
No, I've never asked for a picture or an autograph off anybody that I've ever met. But you know, I've played with Neil Young a few times. He actually knows my name. It doesn't get any better than that. But I wouldn't say, "Could you just sign this, Neil?" It's not for me, you know. Kind of thing, you know. Can we just get a quick? You know, I'm not like that because I hate people that come up to me and say, "Can we just get a quick picture?" I'm like, if only you could get a quick picture, but it's not going to be quick, is it? Because you haven't clue how to work that silly little phone, have you? And you just stand there for ages, like a lifetime, going, "Have you got it? Have you got it? Just make sure you get me in. Never mind your missus, just get me in." Horrible state of affairs.
Listen, there are 1,000, I just want to finish off, there are 1,000 like, stories that have happened to you down through the years that I could talk about. I just want to mention one or two things. You met William Shatner in a lift.
Yes.
Tell me about
the first
that.
time.
That's fantastic.
The first time we were ever on David Letterman, he was on the same show. And we'd done our little run through, and we were all in the lift. This is the original lineup. And as we were waiting for the lift to go up to the dressing room, somebody at the door was shut, and somebody puts their hand through, and it's him and a woman with a clipboard, and he gets in. It's William Shatner. He's dead little, and the door shuts, just like on Star Trek. He goes shh, like that, and there's silence, right? And we're all kind of going. All kind of looking at each other like little kids laughing, and he was kind of going, "Hey guys," and we were just looking at him, and Liam goes, "You Captain Kirk," and I was thinking, "Oh, how many times is he going to have heard that?" And then the joke started, Beam was up Scotty and all that, and it was a real funny moment where there was just like silence. We were all going.
OK, well, if that's a rock and roll thing on the road, which I like a lot, and I'd love to meet William Shatner and lift myself, what about meeting the kind of heavy metal type people? I mean, the Kings of the Ball being Metallica, Lars Ulrich, like... You've met him a few times.
He's a ludicrous individual.
I know, this is the point I make. Like, I don't know if did you see this Some Kind of Monster movie?
It's brilliant.
Isn't it just like, I mean, do you ever sit there saying, it can't get to that for Oasis?
Oh, no, I would never do that. We're Mancunians, you know what I mean? We'd actually
did you
say it.
look at it and
but
say
the
it's
great,
the most frightening
but
thing
the
you've ever
great thing
seen?
about that film is Lars comes out of it as the coolest one out of them all, who just wants to drum and make music and go on the road and buy paintings. The other lot, the singer's mental, but they came to loads of our gigs in '90. I remember being at a gig, and Lars and the drum and the other guitarist were down at the front, at the very front. Jeez. And then he'd come backstage and try and give Tony McCarroll drumming tips. And I was like, you might as well be talking to that packet of crisps he's eating, because it's going in one ear, and in fact, I don't even think it's going in one ear. You know, Lars is great. I actually love him to bits. He's.
But I mean, he'd be at the side of the stage watching you tune your guitars in between songs. He'd be going, like, get roadies to do that beforehand. Every guitar should be ready.
Have you not got anybody to tune those guitars? I went, yeah, but look at him. He's drunk. You know.
A decade and a half after Noel Gallagher joined and transformed the band his brother Liam had formed, Oasis are enjoying their biggest success in the US. And in Europe, where they only play live in the biggest outdoor venues, tickets sell out in a matter of hours. Oasis are riding the crest of a wave these days, but as Noel recently found out, being top of the world isn't always the safest place to be. OK, well then, just the last thing is the Toronto incident then.
Yeah.
Again, it's a YouTube favourite. It's all over the place, where a guy runs up on stage to get you in Toronto and pushes you around. You saw water on the ground because he'd been out in the rain, and you thought it was blood, and you really were badly injured. Fractured this, that, and the other, straight to hospital, all the rest. Not being able to party with Paul Weller for the rest of the night, all that kind of thing. But the Liam bit is funny.
Oh, the classic pub fighter. He just waits till there's enough security guards on stage.
Liam runs out of the way. When the security guys will take him off, Liam goes over and bops the guy again.
But that's what he does. He's done that before, actually. He always waits until there's a few people in the way, and then he starts getting lippy. But, you know, the classic pub fighter move, it's actually, you know, pathetic, you know. But there you go. But I can't understand, if you're going to get on stage, leave me alone. I'm brilliant, right? I'm just there, minding my own business, singing. Break his ribs. Don't break mine.
Noel, good man. Thanks a million. That's been real. Thanks very much, Noel. I appreciate it. Good man yourself.
write your story.